So having done no favourites videos for several years, I've now done 2 in 2 consecutive months. Pretty proud of myself. But all that means that I have been watching some films and TV shows recently that I think are phenomenal and absolutely worth sharing with you. So there are three TV shows actually that I want to very quickly mention, and then I'll talk about the films. And the reason I want to mention these 3 TV shows in particular is because they're on YouTube. So if you want to watch them, once you've watched this video, I definitely recommend it. The first one is Educating Cardiff, and it's good. it's better than the Educating Yorkshire one. Basically, this TV series follows this school and these different pupils and what they get up to in the year, and it gives you a snapshot of what life is like in a typical British Welsh school, and it's great. It's actually the second time that I've watched Educating Cardiff. I watched it like 3 or 4 years ago, and I love it. Then we have 2 new shows that I've discovered recently. One is The Hotel of Mum and Dad. I discovered this because I started rewatching Young, Dumb and Living Off Mum, which I've seen so many times I've lost count. And this was a suggested video. Hotel of Mum and Dad focuses on these young couples who have decided to fly the nest, and they try living on their own independently for a week. And obviously it's good television, things don't always go to plan. And the last one I only discovered this morning, so I'm very excited. This is Judge Rinder. Judge Rinder is kind of hailed as Britain's answer to Judge Judy, and we have all of these really flippant court cases. Some of them are important. There was one I watched this morning where this woman was very distraught at the quality of her wedding photos, and they were appalling. They were really awful. But there are a few other kind of more flippant cases that I saw, and Judge Rinder, Robert Rinder, oh my goodness, he is so funny, he is hilarious. I definitely recommend you check out Judge Rinder videos. Okay, so there are 4 films that I've watched recently that I thought are perfect, and I've been quite lucky over the last kind of 3-4 weeks. Pretty much every film I've watched I've enjoyed. These 4 I think are definitely worth mentioning, and the first one is Black Cauldron. Black Cauldron needs no introduction. It's one of Disney's finest underrated, as I think it's obviously not hailed as a classic. Having watched it, it kind of feels like a low-budget Sleeping Beauty, by which I mean it's very dark and disturbing. We have thickets and castles and magic and gore. Oh, I love it. And the reason that I wanted to watch this years ago is because Tim Burton was a concept artist. Tim Burton worked on this film in his early days at Disney, and then I just never got around to watching it. And honestly, I'm so glad that I waited this long, because I feel like I was in the perfect frame of mind for this. There was a cat who looks like a healthy version of Thomas O'Malley. I swear that that was the cat before he became Thomas O'Malley. I don't know. Then we have one that the film itself wasn't perfect. It's not one of my all-time favourite films, and it was not what I was expecting, but because I was really pleasantly surprised by it, I wanted to mention it, and that's Pink Panther. And I know this was very famous because Beyonce was in it, but for me, I put it in this list because I found it very funny, even though it's not my kind of humour. It's very silly humour. I prefer kind of witty humour, things that you have to think before you laugh. This one is just really silly, but it works really well, and it's the timing. The timing is amazing. So in terms of comedy, it was much better than I expected and worth mentioning. In at number 3, we have Jurassic Park: The Lost World. I know, it's another film that everybody except me has seen. I love the first Jurassic Park. And with everybody currently talking about the second Jurassic World film, I thought, you know what, I better hurry up. Because if there's a third Jurassic World film, which I expect there will be, it may already be announced, I'm not sure, I want to be able to watch that in the cinema. I haven't seen the second Jurassic World because I haven't seen the first Jurassic World, and the reason I haven't seen the first Jurassic World is because I've only just now watched the second Jurassic Park. I may be 2 decades too late, but it was amazing, and I preferred it to the first one. How perfect is Julianne Moore in this? Julianne Moore is one of my favourite actresses ever, so obviously I love that aspect, but I just thought it had the perfect mix of kind of light-heartedness, kind of to break up the action and the excitement, and it needs no introduction. But if you haven't for some reason, like me, seen Jurassic Park 2, you must watch it. And the last one is one that I have been putting off watching for no reason other than I had other ones to watch. Love Potion number 9. You may know that I've been working through Sandra Bullock's filmography for about 2 years now. I try and watch one a month, and this month I decided to watch Love Potion number 9. And it's about these scientists who develop a potion that makes any person of the opposite sex instantly become attracted to them. I won't say falling in love, it's more of an animal magnetism. and obviously they use it and things happen, and it's all about true love and what love really means, and yeah, it's so funny. Sandra Bullock looks incredible throughout it. To begin with, she plays a character who reminds me of Mia in The Princess Diaries, what a lot of people would refer to as an ugly duckling, and then she becomes a beautiful swan. And obviously her character changes there, and we look at, is that what she's really like, or is it just the potion doing this to her? It's a great character study, and if you're a Sandra Bullock fan and you haven't seen it, I would recommend putting it at the top of your to-watch list, because I would say it's one of her lesser known, but one of her finest. So those are my film recommendations from over the last month or so. As I said, there are many others that I watched and loved, but they're the ones that I thought were hailed as being particularly noteworthy. Always open to film recommendations, so do let me know what films you've watched and loved recently, and I'll speak to you all soon.